It's time for me to do one of the hardest things that you can ask of a sewist, and that is to go through my fabric scraps. I actually have finished going through my fabric stash, but I can't in good conscience say that I'm ready to buy new fabric because I've got about 3 bins full of scraps that I haven't figured out how to use. So every day this week, I'm going to be tackling one project that's been on my to-do list, and I'm only going to be using my fabric scraps. I'm going to take it day by day to see how long it takes me to make a significant dent in this pile of scraps. However, there are a couple of things that I know I want to make. I know I want to make a dog bed. I know I want to make a cover for my iPad. I know that I want to make a patchwork skirt, and I know that I want to make a new ironing board cover. I might make some other things as well, but I'm going to sort of start with those and see where I land. These are also all going to be beginner patterns or beginner projects because I'm already taking on sort of the work of figuring out how to use these scraps and how to pair them together and how to patchwork them, etc. So I want to choose projects that are easy and that I can do in one day. With that, let's get started. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to go through my fabric pile of scraps. We're going to sort things out. We're going to try to see how much I have of each fabric, maybe even try to start thinking through which pieces of scraps go together color-wise, etc. We're going to do a little zooming out, taking a look at what I have to work with before we jump into our first project, which is going to be an ironing board cover. Okay, I'm going to start my 7 days in earnest, and I'm going to organize these scraps. However, it has been a couple of days, and it has been a couple of difficult days in Colombia because we had a very large 7.4 magnitude earthquake. As of right now, that's what's being reported. And, I'm very thankful that me and my family are okay. We are around near Bogota, which was not that affected. But there are parts of the country, particularly around the coffee region, particularly around El Choco, that were devastated by this. And it is an incredibly difficult thing to see. I think that, I'm seeing a lot of people organize and like help and figure out how to help. I'm far away, like I mentioned, from the parts with the deepest devastation, but I'm trying to find the, places to donate, and I've donated to people who are like on the ground. And a lot of what's happening right now is like on the ground in, organizing within Colombia, moving money through Colombian banks, etc. But by the time that this video comes out, I will also link some organizations if you are international and would like to help, because this is not an issue that's going to go away in a couple of weeks. The devastation is large, vast, and we're just like learning more as the time sort of goes by. There's a lot of places in Colombia that just don't have the same access to like even roads or even like, communication. And so, we're still just trying to sort of see what was the extent of this. And obviously, because it's only been a few days, a lot of the emergency right now is like, how can we get people out, right, of these buildings that came down? So again, if you can help, check out the description. And, I think that one thing that we always know to be true if you're Colombian is that, we are strong as a people, as a country, and we're going to organize in the best ways that we can to make sure that people are safe. I have a lot of different kinds of scraps here. I have things that are very small. So this is from a recent project. I didn't want to throw any of this out because this is screen printed by an artist, but it was definitely cut up in like a lot of different sizes and little pieces. So I have kind of things like that where I'm like, I didn't want to waste any of the fabric because the fabric was so nice. And I kept it all, even the little tiny pieces. And then I have some things like big packages of fabric. So this one was one where I made a clo bias skirt. And if you know, that skirt is caught in the bias. So when you caught in the bias, you end up wasting a lot of fabric. Which, not wasting, like you make a garment. Actually, my clo bias skirt came out hideous. So I actually did end up wasting that. I gave it to my sister, who was able to, like, I think, re-upcycle it, and it came out really cute for her. So it's not a total waste. But anyway, so here, as you can tell, I've written like big scraps corset question mark, because I'm like, they're big scraps, but also they're not, and this is like a lined fabric, so they're not, it's not easy to get a big piece out of these. And because it's kind of like with a pattern, you can tell if it's pieced together. So like maybe a corset, but it's a lot of fabric, right? But it's all cut up in these like large scraps that are kind of difficult to manage. I also have things like this. This is a failed garment. This is a Willa dress. I actually love the Willa dress. I made it 1,000 times. I could probably do it blind, but I actually had a concussion the week that I tried to make this. I don't know why I started sewing. I think maybe because I couldn't be on screens and I was like kind of over the worst part of the concussion. And I'm like, okay, I just like need to do something with my hands and get my cognitive function back. And I messed up in every single way. And eventually I was just like, you know what? No, I'm going to just throw this into the pile, but I messed it up so bad that there's just like not really any fixing it. However, I can use this to cut up some scraps to do some quilting and things like that. So that I'm still also counting as part of the scrap pile, even though technically it's a work in progress. Like I'm not ever going to finish that garment. So I can just use it for something else. So I have things like that. I also started to organize my scrap pile a while back when I first moved here in November. And so some of these have like labels on them that say washed or that say like 1 meter, 2 meters. Like I tried to sort of say how many I had if I had big piles of scraps. This was from a project I made for like Christmas or something a couple of years ago. I tried to make some stockings. And I just have a lot of leftover of it, and the stockings came out horrible. I'm just like thinking about all the different projects that I started when I like was a beginner, and like how many of them were bad, but how like much I've grown since then. But it's just funny because I invested so much time in so many projects, and I'm like, this is hideous. But it was practice. Okay, I've got things like this. So see, this one says washed corduroy, but I didn't measure it. There's a nice little corduroy. This might be cute for like a little dog bed. Ooh. I found quite a lot of really, interesting patterns to try. In particular, I'm looking at Lost Fabric on Instagram, and she makes like jackets and stuff. And like they're like quilted jackets, so it's like a lot of pattern matching, which I think is like such a skill. And so she uses a lot of like checkerboard in her pattern matching. You see she does like kind of like the checkerboard, and then she does like a flower, and then she'll do like a solid. And then that's just one example. This is another example that's very similar from one of her jackets. That's like a flower. You see like the black and white checker, and then a solid color, like 2 solid colors. Actually, I bought her jacket pattern, and it's like in my to sew list for when I get a better machine. But anyway, so that's the inspo I'm going to go with. I'm going to go through my stash, and I'm going to pick the, like, I already have that part. So I'm going to pick a little flower and a solid color, and like, we're just going to call it a day. I want to do this like blue cotton that I have because it's so beautiful. And it's just a nice little extra pattern to bring in to the space. That's the other thing with the ironing board, is going to be part of my studio. Things are very colorful in here. I also have some things to put up that are going to be colorful too. So, okay. So that is cute. I'll use mostly this one, some of this one. So then I feel like I need like a little accent color. I'm thinking hot pink. That's like really cute. Like these two go together. But I also found this burgundy. What I like about the burgundy is that it is a thicker cotton. So, and this is a thicker cotton. But then again, this is like, I think like linen and cotton. So anyways, that's only going to be an accent. So I've put these two aside, and I'll kind of make that decision once I see this built out a little bit more. This is the base. But actually, even just looking at it like that, I think the hot pink goes more. But we'll see. That's the plan for it. Okay, wait, this is like really cute, actually. It's like a little colorful. And I was wondering about this color. I was like playing around with it. I'm like, do I put it here and do I put it on the edge? Like, would it be good to bring more pink in? Or just kind of like leave it like that? Because I could like maybe lose this row. Oh my gosh, also look how freaking horrible it looks over there. It's like, that's like, the water stains look crazy. So I'm like, would it be cute to like put another row of pink there? I feel like that's too much pink. Like there's a reason this pink was kind of scaring me, and it's because it kind of not clashes, but you know, there's a lot of red in this room, but there's a little pink. Anyway, I'm still working out the identity of the studio, and I don't know that I want to bring a ton more pink, but I'm like bringing in a little pink. That's cute. And obviously like this checker with this pink is like very punk. Okay, so this is obviously like stuff that I could quilt. Like I could do like a little quilt situation here, which takes a long time, as we all know famously. However, I can also just serge it. Like I could serge the pieces together, iron it down, serge it again, and just kind of use the serge and not have like, you know, thread anywhere. That might look a little busted. I'm going to do like one row and I'm going to try it because it's so much faster. Is that going to come and bite me? Like, is it just better to just go down and do the rows and then serge? I guess I won't have to serge because it'll all be encased. Because then I'm like, what thread do I even use here? I think I'm just going to serge. I'm so lazy today. Like, I feel like I could get this project done in like 2 seconds if I just serged like all the little squares and serged all of this together. The only thing when you serge is you have to be careful when you iron. You don't want to pull too much because then you'll see the serge color in the middle. So maybe it's just like being careful. Maybe I'll do some top stitching. No, I'm not going to do any top stitching. Let's be real. I'm going to serge it. I'm going to go with God. I've made the decision. We're going to go as quickly as possible. That's it. Okay, cute. We've got like the whole base. I mean, as you can tell, I didn't even really measure this. I just kind of laid out the fabric on my ironing board and then I just made it that long. And then I kind of curved the edges. And even here, it's like not perfect, but you can kind of tell that's like the top of, that's looking really wonky. But I'm going to fold it over and we're going to put elastic in it and you're not going to be able to see the bottom. So I feel like good about that. And I feel like I was kind of cheating because I just used the serger for everything. But yeah, that's all that's left to do is just I'm going to do a little sort of casing for a thin elastic all the way around. I'm going to leave a little gap to insert the elastic, and that's it. Welcome back to my aisle of scraps, if you will. This is day 2. And today we are going to make an iPad case. My iPad already has like a cover, like a hardcover case. Okay, I'm not like a crazy person walking around with no case on this thing. However, I do want something that's maybe a little softer that I can put this in just for like a little protection when I throw this in my bag when I'm traveling. But also I have this keyboard and mouse that go with the iPad because I don't necessarily want a case that has this built in. I don't always use this functionality, but when I travel, it is really useful for me to have this. So I want something to put this in. This came with a case, but I've lost it because that is just the reality of my life. I feel like I'm in a constant battle with like the elves who like take my things and I'm always like, please give my things back. That's like a funny superstition. I don't actually really believe that. I just kind of misplace everything and that's just how I am. But I want to make something that can hold both the iPad, sort of like a sleeve for the iPad, but also have a little compartment where I can put this. Now, if I'm looking at it like this, they're about the same width. So I'm like, okay, great. That's helpful for me to know. So I was looking yesterday on Pinterest trying to find a little like iPad case cover or like whatever that I could copy. And I found a lot of the same kind. So a lot of the iPad covers or laptop covers that are especially like the DIY ones are ones that are like kind of like a rectangle and they just have like a little button or like a piece of Velcro on top. So there's like so many different versions of this online, but it's not necessarily what I'm looking for because again, I need to hold these two things. I did see some other case covers that had like little sleeves in the front. I'm like, okay, that could work. This could go into sleeve, but then I feel like it'd be really tight. Like this is a little thick. So I'm like, I don't know if that's necessarily what I'm looking for either. I did see some that have like a little zipper all around and it's more like a little booklet. And then when you open it up, it has like sleeves on the inside. But that involves a zipper and it involves like having a bunch of different pockets and it's a lot more construction. But I was kind of like getting closer to what I was looking for. So then I finally ended up finding something that was a little closer to like book covers. So there's these book covers that you can put like a notebook on one side, a book on the other. And then you like close them and then they have like little bows. And I'm like, that's cute. I feel like that's maybe more of what I'm looking for. So I'll show you a picture of what I'm thinking. So it really is just like a booklet. It's like a big wide booklet. On one side, the iPad, on the other side, a sleeve to put these two little things in. And I might even like separate them so that they each have like their little compartment. Okay, there are really two main fabrics I've been drawn to for this. And the first is a corduroy because a lot of the inspo online use corduroy. It's like very soft. I feel like this could work. This is like a off-cut corduroy that I have. It feels like I have enough, but it's kind of very simple. So I feel like that's one option. The other option is this like thicker kind of eyelet fabric. It looks, it's not eyelet, but it looks like eyes. I have 1 meter of this. So I think that this could work really nicely as the front. Oh, these can look good together. I feel like maybe it might be cool to do both. Like maybe I can do, because okay, so here's what's gonna happen. I'm gonna have two pieces of the main fabric because I have to quilt it. So the front is quilted. So I have to make one big piece that's quilted. After that, I have to create the pockets on the inside, and that's not gonna be quilted, it's just a piece of fabric. And that fabric is like where the iPad is gonna go. So I actually do think that if I did this on the outside and I did corduroy on the inside, that could be really cute. And so then all I really need is like an accent border color. So like something that I can put on the outside of this to do like a little bias tape moment, which is gonna need. So that's where the accent color comes in. Burgundy's cute. I feel like it's very adult. Like these color choices are very adult. It would be like inside would be the corduroy, outside would be this cool little, and then maybe do like a burgundy bias tape. That could be cute. I'm like really drawn to that burgundy, obviously. I was considering it yesterday. There's also like a light blue. Cute. I don't know, the blue clashing. Maybe it's good to have different types of blue though. I was looking at videos of people doing a bunch of quilting and stuff, and they were like, play around with this and play around with that. I'm like, I don't know. I'm too rigid. I need to like. There's also just dark blue, which matches the board, like the little pattern here, almost to a T. I feel like that's cute, but maybe it's a little too on the nose. Okay, we're gonna go with the burgundy for the line, for the bias tape, this for the pockets, and then this for the outside. I feel like these go together. They're kind of like a earthy, I don't know, but I like how they go together. So let me show you how I'm gonna do this. The first thing that I'm gonna do is I'm gonna quilt this piece right here, which is the outer piece. Let me show you how I'm gonna measure that. Okay, so because I'm gonna make this like a booklet, right? I need like one long piece. It's gonna be one side and one side, right? And so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just measure using my device, which in this case is my iPad. As you can tell, I'm also just making sure that like it would fit, like my other pieces would fit on the other side, and they would because it's the same length as my iPad. But if you're gonna do like two different things, like an iPad and a book, you usually gotta get the biggest item that you're going to put in there. And then also I'm using it with the case because I'm going to try to slip this in with the case. So that being said, this is a pretty easy fabric to cut because it's got these little sort of lines or like these little figures that act as like lines for me. So it's easier to square up. I'm going to give myself a few centimeters from the edge so that I have enough in case like, you know, anything goes wrong. I'm going to quilt this. And so with quilting, I like to give myself I haven't done a lot of quilting, but the quilting I've done, I like to give myself some ease because sometimes it gets wonky and then you can cut it out and straighten it out. So what I'm going to do is I'm probably going to do 3 centimeters all the way around. And that should be enough because I'm going to use 1 centimeter as like the seam allowance, which is just going to be bias tape. But I just want to make sure that I have enough to put that bias tape in. So again, it's pretty easy for me to tell here that things are even because I've got the like little pattern as a guide. You actually need 2 pieces of this because it is going to be quilted, right? So you need 2 pieces for each side. I've got my batting here. I wish I had like a nicer batting, like a cotton. We're gonna make our little quilting lines. I'm just gonna do straight lines. I did have a little quilting tool to use for this, but I lost it. This is like a theme for today's video. It's like, I need to get more organized. Okay, so I'm just gonna do like kind of thick lines. Again, I've got like these patterns here that like make it so that it's a little bit easier for me because I can see that I'm just going straight through the pattern eye. I'm making like maybe 4 eyes apart, or 4 like little lines apart. Okay, this has all been quilted and it went pretty smoothly. I think I only made one mistake toward the end. I accidentally on one side, because I'd taken all the pins out, caught it, so I had to unpick it. This is all going in my like tiny scrap bag so that I can stuff a dog bed tomorrow. I probably should have done this earlier, but I gotta cut the pieces that are gonna make the pockets. They're not gonna be as wide, but they are gonna be as long. So the length here is really important, whereas the width is not. So I'm gonna put this fabric on the fold just so that it's like easier for me to cut. This is not gonna be one large piece, it's gonna be 2 pieces, but I'll cut it in a second. I'm just gonna really make sure that I get the length right. And I am feeling lazy today, so I'm gonna just weigh this down and cut around it instead of marking it all up. Okay, now we have these 2 pockets here. We're gonna match them up. This is not gonna be as long, but I'm thinking I'm just gonna fold it over to make like a little sleeve lining moment. I should also maybe do some bias tape here. We'll see, because I could also do a cute little hem moment here. Like a thick little... We'll see, because if I add bias tape, it also adds to the bulk, you know? So you see what I'm saying? It's gonna look like that. I might just cut this and do some bias tape. I have to decide in a second. But what I'm really gonna do is sew this all the way around and then test it to see like what it does to like the bulk. Okay, we've got our sleeve. It looks actually really good. I mean, it probably needs a press, but I did fit everything to make sure that it fits. This is the front. I'm gonna do bias tape all the way around. And we've got a sleeve for the main iPad, a sleeve for the little mouse, and a sleeve for the actual keyboard. Now, my question here is, how should I have this closed? Like on itself, you know what I'm saying? Like, this thing is like, I'm like, do I put a bow here? Like, do I just, and if I do a bow, do I do 2 bows? Like, it might be better with 2 to hold it a little bit more together. That's like my one question. So I might consider snaps. I'm like trying to figure that out, but I think it looks really cute. I was sort of like having a lot of thoughts about how I'm going to have this close. And then I was like, wouldn't it be really cute to have little beads and to like make these little grommets to have this like string with beads in it. And then on the other side, it would just like tie up. Does that make sense? It's so cute. I'm going to show you right now when it's all closed up. So I'm going to put all this stuff in here. But this is the iPad cover. Okay, you saw the beads on the inside, and like this is what it looks like on the outside. Isn't it cute? And obviously it's like tied really, it's just a little bow tie here. But I did kind of tighten it up with that because you want it to stay, right? Like you don't want all the things kind of falling out. So this is like so cute. I feel like maybe I'll have to figure out a little something more practical than the beads if I'm traveling, but I love it. I think it's so cute. And like, yeah, like it looks a little wonky on the side. Like bias tape is not my forte, but I think that that's so perfect for what I needed. And I can kind of just like slip that into my little bag when I'm traveling, and it's got everything in there, so. Hello friends, welcome to day 3 of my scrap pile sewing. Okay, just a couple of things. I love how this came out yesterday, but it's evident that this is like gonna be a problem. Like they just keep getting knotted with each other. So I came up with a different solution, and I'm gonna show you at the end of the video because I have to go into town to find some elastic cord to do this. But I realized I'm like, this is really just like a booklet, right? Like very much so like my journal, which coincidentally matches. And what they do here with the journal is that they also have a grommet, and then they just put a piece of elastic through it, right? And the elastic is being held on the inside with a knot. And I'm like, duh, like, why didn't I like think of that? Well, also I don't have this elastic. So that's also one of the reasons. Today, we're gonna work on a dog bed. So my dog, Ricky, has been having some hip issues. He's a big guy. He has been, he was rescued, so we don't know his genetic lineage. And so he's been kind of struggling with some hip pain. He's in a lot of treatment. You know, we're trying to make some modifications around the home as well. You know, we live in a 1-story home, so that's a little bit easier, no stairs, but we're still making modifications with like the couch and the bed and all these different things. One of the things is that he loves to hang out wherever we are, right? Obviously, he's our little guy, he's our puppy. And I know that I'm not alone in this, but my dogs are my entire life. So I just need to make it as comfortable for him as possible. I want to make beds for every place in the house where he lays down on the floor. Like I don't want his little butt touching the floor at all. I want it to be nice and comfy for him. He does have a big bed in our, bedroom, but he lays down in like my office or here or in my husband's office or on the porch. And like there are some comfy places that he tries to find like rugs and stuff, but I'm like, no, like we're gonna have something soft and cushiony for you so your little hip doesn't get worse, right? So anyway, this is gonna be kind of like a toile. So I'm gonna really use my scraps to figure out like if this is a bed that I like making, does he like it? And then if he does, then I'm gonna make like 1,000. Like he's not gonna want for beds, okay? So let's walk you through the plan. I'm going to show you here what I kind of drafted. I'm going to be using the tutorial How to Sew a Dog Bed with Sides by The Daily Sew. This tutorial was excellent. It walks you through how to self-draft this bed based on your dog's like measurements, but the creator also shares a number of different measurements that you can use if you just want to like go for it and like not measure. So I'm going to go with the extra large size that she suggested, but I'm making a couple modifications. I'm going to make it just a teeny tiny bit smaller because that measurement for the extra large bed was a little big, even though I do have a big guy. And I also have another little pup who has her own beds, but she likes to share with her brother anyway. And so in total, I'm going to need 6 pieces. I'm going to need 1 top, 1 bottom, 2 short sides, and 2 long sides, right? Because it's just like a rectangle bed. So for the top and bottom, so for the size, like main size of it, I'm going to go for a 98 centimeters times 70 centimeters. She suggests a 40 inches by 30 inches. So it's pretty close. I just cut down a little bit. And then for the height, I'm going to go with 10 centimeters. So it's just like a little padding. I am not going to be using foam. In her tutorial, she uses foam. I'm going to use my scraps. I do have a little batting, and so I'm going to put the batting on the bottom and on the top, and I'm just going to like stuff it with scraps. So it still has a little structure, but it's really mostly the scraps that are doing the work of like the cushion. Then I need 2 side pieces. Okay, that's going to be, again, 70 on one side, 10 on the other. And then I need 2 pieces for the long pieces. One thing here is that one of the long pieces needs to be cut like hot dog style. I mean, there has to be like a fancier way to say that, but it's just hot dog style, like lengthwise, because that's where the zipper is going to go. So it really is like 7 pieces because you're cutting 1 piece in 2, but I'm counting it as 6 pieces. I don't really think I'm gonna have to look at the tutorial to really do this because it's pretty straightforward. It's like you put the thing together, you stuff it, you put a zipper in it. So I'm hoping that this is gonna be pretty straightforward. Let's go through my fabric stash. Actually, I'm gonna go through my fabric stash and I'm gonna pick some fabrics to make this in. Okay, I've got my giant pile of scraps here, but I've made a decision. Also, I'm dressed like I go to like the University of Miami. I don't know. Okay, so we're gonna do this on one side. This is very comfy. It's this like sort of pinstripey fabric. It's thick. I want my little guy to be comfy. On the other side, we're gonna do these scraps. This is probably gonna be the bottom. It's just because it's the only piece that I have that's big enough that kind of doesn't clash with these other ones. I have like a lot of green, but I'm like, I want to do the corduroy for the sides. So these are the 3 colors I want to use. Okay, I cut up almost everything else this morning. I'm just finishing up the like little corduroy side seams here. And I'm just kind of using the original piece that I cut, like the top part as a guide. So I'm just kind of turning it over sideways and then being like, okay, that's the amount of the length that I need for the side. So be very precise about this, but I feel like I'm really using this week to just kind of make things, get my mind off of the internet. I don't know, things are just, I don't know. I serged all of the pieces so they're ready to assemble, and I did the hardest part, which was the zipper. Why didn't I show you? Because this is not a tutorial. Like, what were we gonna do? Like, hold each other's hands and cry? Like, I'm not good at this. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is not the place to come for a sewing tutorial for a zipper, okay? But I did find a really good one, and I'm gonna put it on in the description. It's like a shorts, and it kind of showed me how to sew the zipper like through the back. So you kind of had to cut this in half and then make a seam. Again, don't ask me. And it came out wonky still, but it was pretty quick. So, and I feel good about that. Like for what I'm looking for, it doesn't go all the way across. It's just kind of in the middle. So that's where you can kind of tell like how wonky it is. But it opens, and that's all I need. I have finished the dog bed, except it's not stuffed. So like now I just need to stuff it. But I like the color combination. I like how it's coming out. Putting it together was really easy. It's just putting all the pieces together. My zipper looks crazy, but I feel like who cares? And it's super cute. Like it's kind of like this on one side, this other color on the other side. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to stuff it with this sort of fill on each side. So it has a little more structure, and then I'm going to start stuffing it with my scraps. So it's almost done. These are just like little things from my serger. I was just cutting this particular piece out. I had like these little sort of strips. I've got strips from past projects. What I'm going to do first, though, is try to cut these up to be a little bit smaller, just so that they're a little more even inside the dog bag. I've seen this done online, and what people usually do is they like put it on their cutting mat, and then they get the rotary cutter and just kind of like cut with the rotary cutter, just cut it and cut it and cut it, almost like slicing onions, I guess. That took a lot longer than I thought it was going to take. I also ended up like ditching the like cutting part. I was like, oh, I'm going to need a lot more than this. And I just started stuffing this thing with fabric scraps. And it is so heavy, but it looks so good. I can't even lift it. I feel like it's so comfy. I think that the idea of putting wadding on top and on the bottom was like excellent because now it kind of like evened out all of the creases from the different fabric scrap types. But this looks great. I feel like I can't really show it to you here because it's so heavy I can't even lift it. I feel like maybe that way you can see it a little bit, but I'm going to show you at the end. I'll show you my little pups laying on it. I love the 2-color combo, and I used so many fabric scraps. Like, that is so exciting because I was kind of like embarking on this project to try to go through my stash, and I ended up having so much, and I'm like, okay, like, you know, I made a little thing for my iPad, I made my iron cover, but I wasn't going through the scraps the way that I needed to, and this was such a scrap buster. I just stuffed it full of scraps. And now I don't have that many scraps left. So it's very exciting. Winnie, don't eat the bed. Winnie. Okay, hello again. It has been a few days because I had a group of friends come and visit me for the weekend. It was so much fun. They came to visit me from Bogota. They're a group of friends I made in Colombia, which is also very exciting for me because if you are an adult trying to make friends, you know how that is. So it was amazing to have them here, and I did no sewing, absolutely no sewing. So today is officially day 4 of sewing through my fabric scraps. I have made such a huge dent. Like, yes, I still have this bin left, but I had like 3 of these bins full of fabric scraps, and now I just have the one. And today I'm going to make another project that I think is going to get through a lot of this. But also, I can just put all of, like, the fact that I can fit all of my scraps into one bin, like, I can put a lid on this and it closes, okay? That is amazing. I feel so good about that. I really was starting to develop a little bit of guilt around having all of those scraps and not doing anything with them. So all of that is gone, although I don't think you should feel guilty if you have like scraps, but like whatever, you know what I'm saying, okay? I got it out of like, I got it done. So today's project is a patchwork skirt. I feel like I've made a couple of things for like myself. Well, actually all these things have been for me, but I haven't made any garments with the scraps, and I want to make at least one garment with the scraps that I have left. So we're going to make a patchwork skirt. This is going to be a panel skirt because the inspo that I'm kind of drawing from, I have like 2 different inspo pictures and they are both sort of like these panels. And I'm thinking that I can use the Saundra skirt for this because it's just like a bunch of panels. So because those panels are not so big, then I can cut them out comfortably using some of the larger scraps that I have. And I just need to cut like 10 panels. So I just have to find like 10 pieces out of the scraps. So that feels like probably the best way to do this for me. And actually, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make the Saundra skirt, and I'm going to choose, I mean, I have to make 10 of the panels, and so I have to choose 5 pieces of fabric that I want to use to make the skirt, and then kind of alternate them. So it feels kind of patchworky, but still each panel is its own fabric. I found the pattern, I cut out the panels, I picked 5 fabrics, again, because I need 10 of these. I picked 5 fabrics, I cut 2 out of each fabric. Okay, now do the colors that I pick go together? I don't know. I feel like I told you all at the beginning this was my insecurity, and it is what it is. I do think they kind of go together, but then I'm also kind of second guessing myself, but that's okay because I already cut it and it is what it is. I'm gonna sew it. So the first color is this sort of like maroonish, no, this is not maroon at all. This is like burnt orange, okay? Then we've got this might be considered maroonish color here. Okay, then we've got, well, this is burgundy, whatever. Then we got white, okay, neutralize it a little bit. That could be cute. Then I also cut out green. This one has like a little bit of like greenish in it, if you can see. So I was like, okay, maybe that kind of does go, and I just kind of was like, let's do it. Okay, so these are kind of going together. You see earth. But then I didn't have anything else that like felt like it kind of, so then, and then I wanted to do a pattern too. And I tried different ones, and this one spoke to me, purple. I don't know why. It just did. It spoke to me. Is it gonna look good together? Maybe it looks clownish. I don't know. We're gonna go for it though. I mean, the color combination, I think it could be really cute actually. Like if I did like a t-shirt with this, you know what I'm saying? Like it's giving fall. Like the colors are very fall. I think definitely some of the inspo that I showed or that like I had was more patchworky. Like it had more like maybe this piece would have been half of this, half of another thing. You know what I'm saying? But for what I wanted to do, which was get this done in like 2 hours, this is perfect. I do think this is like, again, very fall and really cute little crop top. Like I think this styled is going to be really cute. So I like the color combinations. I'm going to now just kind of fold over and make an elastic waistband channel, right? Sort of like that. And then I'll insert the elastic and hem it. And then that's really it. Okay, the skirt is done and I love it. It is actually very fall, but I'm going to show you how I'm going to style it in a second. So I'll show you all of the finished projects because it turned out so cute. It has that little bounce that I love from this pattern. I think the Saundra skirt is a great pattern. It's by Sid Graham, so it's the same pattern maker as the Lane pants. And I feel like for some people, the Lane pants are like everything. They make like 100 pairs. I've actually made like 3 of those pants, but for me, it's this one. I have like 4 of these skirts and every single time it hits. So if you have some scraps, you know, I would give this a shot. This concludes our 1 week of sewing with fabric scraps. I'm honestly so happy with the dent I made in my fabric scrap pile. I honestly think it was a dog bed. Like without that super extra large dog bed, I wouldn't have made the dent that I did. So if you're looking to go through your fabric scraps and you have a large dog, go for it. I think I might do it again too. I think the scraps that I have left though are ones that I want to quilt and that I want to do a couple of other things with. So I'm very happy that I was able to minimize, but also that I'm able to keep some scraps aside for when I feel like I have a little more time to do some quilting. If you made it all the way to the end of this video, thank you. And if you want to keep watching vlogs about sewing and about living in Colombia, subscribe and I'll see you all next time.